International business and globalization.
International business and globalization are widely used terms. Both terms are used similarly and are often mistaken for the same thing. As we all know, international businesses are taking more and more place as we are continuing to develop as an independent country. Along with the growth of international business, globalization is also increasing and has a direct impact on international businesses. The world's economy expands and is affected directly due to these two practices.
What is international business? International business is defined as commercial transactions that occur across country borders. International business ultimately covers the trade of goods, services, technology, capital, and/or technology at a global level. These transactions happen between two or more countries and include capital, resources, skills, and people for the production of physical goods and service purposes. An international business has many options when it comes to doing business. This includes exporting services and/or goods, giving a license to produce goods or a service to a country host, opening a new brand in order to produce and distribute a product or service in a certain country host, and providing managerial services to companies in a host country. Having many and different international businesses can only be good and have a positive impact on our community. According to smallbusinessbc.ca, small and medium-sized businesses account for 38% of the total value of goods exported from BC. In 2010, this amounted to $29.3 billion of merchandise. As Canada's only province that borders the Pacific Ocean, BC is strategically placed to be the global hub for trade between Asia, Europe, and North America. And the trade market is only set to get bigger, with container traffic forecasted to quadruple by 2020 across all West ports. International businesses are good for our economy because of many reasons. First of all, international business increases our sales and revenues. Second of all, they increase our ability to compete with the biggest industries from all around the world. And thirdly, they diversify our market. Let's take Canada, United States, and Mexico for example. NAFTA is probably the biggest and most important agreement for all of the three countries involved and also has an important impact on the economy of all three countries. It is worth around $20 trillion. By eliminating tariffs, NAFTA increases investment opportunities, which means that it is most likely to create more opportunities for employment and to develop a new market. International business also includes the study of the internalization process of multinational enterprises.
Multi-enterprises, also called multinational corporations, are sometimes referred to as transitional international or stateless corporations, according to Investopia. There are four types of multinationals, and they include a decentralized corporation with a strong presence in its own country, a global centralized corporation that acquires cost advantage where cheap resources are available, a global company that builds on the parent corporation's R&D, a transnational enterprise that uses all three categories.
What is globalization?
The definition of globalization is the process of growing and expanding to exist throughout the entire world, according to your dictionary. As Barack Obama once said, globalization is a fact because of technology, because of an integrated global supply chain, because of changes in transportation. Globalization is a must if we want to succeed in the international businesses market. Globalization is grounded in the theory of comparative advantage, which states that countries that are good at producing a particular good are better off exporting it to countries that are less efficient at producing that good. It also helps the countries to develop economically through infusions of foreign capital and technology. Because of globalization, there is a worldwide platform for consumers and companies to access products that come from outside their respective countries.
For a company to go global, they need to have a good business strategy. A good business strategy to reach globalization needs to consider long-term objectives. Any long-term objectives would need to be adapted to the environment in which the company is placed. For example, if a company from Canada settles in Europe or Asia, the goals set by the management for company growth and increase in sales are not going to be the same. For the company to succeed in a new environment, they need to consider what the consumer wants and needs, as well as their consuming habits. Social, cultural, and demographic aspects such as culture, values, beliefs, age, gender, religion, and ethnicity all have a huge impact on whether your company can succeed in a new environment or not. Competition is another important factor when it comes to your company, especially when you're trying to introduce something similar to what is already there. Effects of globalization on international business. Globalization affects international business both positively and negatively. Positive aspects include the rise in level of investments and a rise in competition. The investment level is affected in both the host and the home countries. Foreign direct investments, FDI, is what helps to measure the level of investment. There are three types of FDI: equity capital, profits converted into new investments, and internal debts incorporation. Equity capital is buying shares of a business out of the investor's own country. It can also be referred to as first investment. Profits that are not obtained by the foreign direct investor are included in the profits that are converted into new investments. Internal debts incorporation mean that short and long-term debt and credit funds between direct investors and tied enterprises at issue. In corporation, they have what's called international debts incorporation. This represents the relationship of short or long-term debt and credit funds between direct investors and tied enterprises.
When companies want to expand their business in different countries, it creates an inflation in competition. This includes different terms such as the quality of goods and services that are produced, the cost, and the price. In order to handle your business on a global scale, companies will have to work accurately and adequately by giving a variety of goods and services and giving affordable prices. Not only does it increase the market share, but it also benefits the host country due to the different assistance provided. Due to the establishment of foreign companies in a country and assisting to the GDP rate and growth, it will also help the domestic market of the host country to become stronger. After a thorough investigation on international business and globalization, it is safe to say that both rely on one another and help our economy grow for many reasons, such as the rising level of its investments and the rising competition. Although both terms are quite similar and often used as one in a casual conversation, both are very different and distinct from one another. Globalization does and will forever have a huge impact on international businesses.